Welcome to the Cougar Mountain monthly webinar series. Thank you for attending today's webinar on Denali's Audit Trail. During the webinar today, we will ask that you mute your speakers and that you type comments and questions during the webinar as noted on the slide seen here. Toward the end of the session, we will have a question and answer time where you can also raise your virtual hand, so to speak. My name is Sherry Severson. I'm a technical support analyst here at Cougar Mountain Software. Today's agenda includes the topics for today, a secure audit trail, and then a question and answer wrap-up session. One of the ways Denali helps with a secure audit trail is multi-batch mode. Multi-batch mode allows 2 or more users to enter GL transactions at the same time. It also allows the user to separate journal entries into different batches for categorizing, posting, and other purposes. We are going to switch to Denali, and so that you can see where to find the multi-batch mode option. If you're in General Ledger, you go to Options, Module Preferences, and it's here on the General tab. Activate multi-batch mode. The default is to have this checked. And when it is checked, you will be prompted to select or set up a batch whenever you go to do a journal entry in any module. You can see here there's a batch set with a specific reference. In multi-batch mode, each user can have their own batch with their user IDs attached. A single user may also use a split screen to view several open batches. Each batch open does use a license though, and if a single user has 3 GL modules or batches open, they are using 3 licenses. If their company has 5 licenses, that leaves only 2 licenses for other workers. If multi-batch mode is not selected, only one person can enter transactions at a time, and all transactions are entered and posted in a single batch. After posting, the batch is then cleared and ready for new transactions to be entered. The reference numbers on the reports you receive in multi-batch mode helps a business owner or accountant to be able to locate discrepancies. The reference number reflects the module from which the transaction was posted, which you can see here at the beginning of the reference number, along with the posting reference number. And also the transaction number in the batch is shown at the end of that reference number. Note that here that also the description fields print to the audit trail, so use them effectively. Don't ignore the payroll description because it comes across to GL and the audit trail as blank. Instead, put the starting and ending payroll period dates in that description. That way you will know exactly what payroll it is that you're looking at. Notice here on this report also that the customer payments are listed as payment by check such and such, further enabling you to narrow down any discrepancy that you're looking for. The last posting number label displays the number that was applied to the last transaction in the posting batch. The 177 should show in your reference numbers. The last batch number label is also visible if the multi-batch mode option is selected, and the 6-character identifier of the last batch that was posted. That's what you see here on the screen. Also in this menu, where the activate multi-batch mode is, you will find allow unbalanced transactions. Good accounting practice recommends that you allow unbalanced transactions never, that it should stay unchecked. This option should only be used to correct an error such as a posting error. Allowing unbalanced transactions here allows them for all modules, not just GL. There is an extra security in place for allowing unbalanced transactions to occur if you need to correct an error. The extra security is in the main module under security and add change users. Once you find the user that you are needing to add the rights to, you will select them and go to Write. Under GL and Journal, there is a check mark here to allow out-of-balance posting. You can only post an out-of-balance transaction if both of those securities are correctly checked. Remember that SUP does not have the capability to or have the rights to allow unbalanced transactions. It would need to be a user other than SUP. The audit trail report provides a complete detailed listing of the transactions that have taken place in each account for a specified time period. It lists the date and the module from which the transaction was posted. This report also includes the user ID and batch number information for each transaction for tracking purposes. You can run the audit trail report for a specific or specified range of GL account numbers and specific dates to get exactly the information you need. To run the audit trail report, you go in GL up to Reports and click on Audit Trail. You here where it says starting GL account number and ending GL account number, that's where you put your range of accounts. If you were to double click in that field, you can see the lookup for the whole chart of accounts that you have in your range. There is also report type. The report type you can choose according to the type of information that you want to see and the way you'd like to see it organized. Detail prints a complete detailed listing of the transactions that have taken place in each account for a specified time period. It includes the date and module from which the transaction was posted, the user ID, and the batch number information for each transaction. Detailed landscape prints the same information from the detailed report in landscape format and does include a posting reference and a running balance information. The single line landscape report prints a detailed landscape report but does not include the second line for each transaction. It does include the running total. If we take a look at this account briefly, you will see on this report that it's single line, fairly easy to read. It does include your description. You can see the dates and the reference numbers. You can see the debits and credits columns and the totals for those here, as well as the running balance totals here off to the left. You need to do a specific date. You can run this, usually it's set up to do periods, but you can run for a specific date to look for discrepancies, such as in a 5-day range. You could do that like so and use it by the dates here. Using the 5-day period helps you to narrow it down. If you know what month it's in, using a 5-day period, if you go through and look at it and you say it's okay, it's good for the 1st through the 5th, then you take the second 5-day period from the 6th through the 10th and go through it that way until you find where the error is. And then you can narrow it down by specific day and you can go from there. The detailed landscape will also give you what was on the second line here, your user ID, your detail in the transaction detail line, and as well as all of the other information you saw in the single line detail or single line landscape. George asked why the single line report is double spaced, and I don't know. That's a formatting that programming put into it. You could certainly send in a request to have it not be double spaced, but at this point that is just the formatting that it was created with. The next report that we're going to look at is the trial balance. And you can enter starting and ending periods here. You can see the dates that correspond off to the left. You can choose any periods in your fiscal calendar from 1 to 60. If you want to include only one period in the report, you enter the same number in both the starting period and the ending period boxes. The defaults for these boxes are the present period, as shown in your fiscal calendar. When you enter the period number, the first date of the starting period and the last date of the ending period will appear to the right so that you can verify that these are the periods that you want to include in your report. The trial balance report begins at last year's ending balance. If you enter 0 in both the starting and ending period files, you can actually get last year's closing figures. We can't quick look at that. You can see that the trial balance is showing from 12/31 of 13 to 12/31 of 13. So these are your closing entries for the end of the previous year. And so you can also run it for the current year, including the closing balances from last year, starting with a 0 and then ending with 12. So it goes from 12/31 of 2013 to 12/31 of 2014. The next report we're going to take a look at is the balance sheet. The balance sheet provides current data on the financial condition of a company. Accumulations to assets, liabilities, and equity accounts are included on this report. This report shows current year without revenue and expenses, which are shown in one line at the bottom or on the income statement, which we will look at next. The balance sheet does not show last year's closing figures like the trial balance. You can only pull a report as early as period 1, not 0, like in the trial balance. GL keeps 2 years of history, specifically for comparative reports. So there are different report types that we look at here are detailed, summary, classified, comparative detailed, and comparative classified. The comparative detailed prints the balance of each account selected for both the period you selected in the ending period box and the same period for the prior year. The comparative classified prints the balance sheet sorted by account class subcategories or report groups for both the period you selected in the ending period box and the same period for the prior year. You must have every account in your general ledger assigned to an appropriate classified report group in order to run this report. If not, you will receive an error when trying to run it. Take a look at the comparative detailed report. You can see here that it's showing you in the first column here the 2014 ending balance as of January 31st, and also the 2013 ending balance in January 31st of that year. As we switch back to our PowerPoint here and take a look at this, here you can see the difference between the trial balance report and the balance sheet. The view of the top above the blue line is the detailed revenue or income and expense on the trial balance. The bottom line, the bottom view below the blue line is just the single line profit, which is the line in the balance sheet. And we'll tell you net income or loss. Summary. This breakdown, you can see the trial balance separates the income and expenses similar to what you would see on an income statement. But the balance sheet just shows the bottom line, the net income or loss. The income statement shows this year's revenue and expenses by account. It splits out your income and your expenses and gives subtotals for income and expenses as well. When creating an income statement, you can choose the report type according to the type of information you want to see and the way you want it organized. Detailed gives a detailed report and will print out every account and its balance. The summary prints only the account class totals. Classified prints a balance sheet sorted by account class subcategories or your report groups. And you must have every account in your general ledger assigned to the appropriate classified report group in order to run this report, just like as your balance sheet. Profit and loss report will print the revenues from operations, cost of goods sold, and operating expenses. Comparative detail prints the balance of each account selected for both the period you selected in the ending period box and the same period for the prior year. Comparative classified prints the balance sheet sorted by account class subcategories or report groups for both the period you selected in the ending period box and the same period for the prior year. You must have every account, again, assigned, or you will receive an error when you try to run these reports for comparison. The comparative profit and loss statement prints the various account groups and compares the current and previous year account balances. We're going to take a look at that one here in Denali. Go to our income statement and our report type as our comparative profit and loss. You can see here that it is comparing 2014 to 2013, which we apparently had no revenue in 2013. And you can see the percentage of the revenue that each section or category of revenue is as far as the amount. The profit and loss will show you year-to-date ratios and amounts compared to the current period that you're providing on. Another option when looking for an error is to use the account maintenance screen. Up here under account maintenance, you can type in your account number and click detailed history. And you can see the grid displays the history for the selected account. It shows a variety of data, including transaction dates, reference numbers, descriptions, amounts, credits or debits, and the source module. Remember how we discussed earlier that all this information helps to narrow down any discrepancy. And you can also sort by any header in this grid. You just click on the grid title, and you can see that your search criteria, changes for the type of criteria that you're looking for up here. You can double click on any of these transactions, and it will show you a reprint posting for that specific transaction. And see here it gives you the transaction number, the date, your GL account, the user ID, the posting reference, and it also gives you the crossover account where the other side of the transaction went. You can also view a more general reprint posting that includes multiple transactions from the GL reports menu by clicking on reprint posting. Here you can include all sources, all AP, BR, bank rec, payroll, whatever you need. You can also, if you know a range or a specific reference number, you can include those here, or you can use a date range. The reprint posting is used often in an event where you've either misplaced the original posting or you need an additional report for some reason. You can obtain the reprint posting for the specific date, the specific module to narrow it down as needed for your search for your error discrepancy. The date range can speed up the reporting processing by allowing you to choose a specific time period in your report, or you can do the custom date range as shown here as the default. Source modules, all of the modules are available. You can choose either all or a specific module to help you narrow it down. This report verifies the audit trail. We're going to take a look at one here. So here you can see the account number, the account description, the user, the batch number, the reference number, the module that it was posted from, the posting number, the date and the amount, and whether it was a debit or credit. In support, we have found that the reprint posting report to be a valuable tool in helping a customer to locate specific transactions. Kevin Winston, our head trainer, notes that he suggests that to post daily. A daily posting helps you to be able to come across your errors more easily and more effectively. And also that if you find an error, let's say you found an error on August 10th of 2014, that you create the correcting entries on August 11th of 2014 so that transactions can be tracked more easily and effectively. Now it's time for a question and answer session. If you have any questions, please submit them through the chat. I'll take a look at the questions here. Give me just a moment, please. One question was, why does each open batch take a license? Does this apply to users not logged in? If you're not logged in, you are not using a license. The number of licenses that you have are for the number of modules that are open. So if you have 5 licenses for GL or for all of your systems, and you have GL open 4 times, there's still a license open for someone else to use. In Denali, you can store reports on a hard disk with no problem. PDF you can do. You can send them out to CSV or Excel. There's a variety of ways to be able to save and store reports. You can look probably at that more along the help to give you some more options there. There's also another question on double spacing. Again, I'm not sure the specifics for that. It might be required for the programming. It is just the way the report was created. I think we're about out of time, so there are some additional questions in the chat box. We will be answering those on the website. There are future webinars to be determined. Please stay tuned for what those will be, and certainly send in your questions or comments to our customer service team at any of the options listed here. We will be posting this webinar on the website, so look for an email with a link to it. The questions and answers from this session will also be available on the website, including any questions that we did not get answered today. Thank you for attending, and have a great day.